Ilia Topuria has responded to Khabib Nurmagomedov. Khabib recently stated that Arman Tsarukyan would be a more difficult fight for Islam, and made the case for why Topuria doesn't deserve a title shot without fighting a contender. Khabib said, "My personal opinion, not necessarily dangerous. Let's say more competitive. I think it's Tsarukyan. I think Arman is a more serious fighter than Topuria. Topuria is a good fighter at 145, but we haven't seen him at 155. I believe Arman is more competitive for Islam than Topuria. I don't know what kind of agreements Topuria and the UFC had, but from Islam's side, he already gave 2 title shots to a 145-pound champion. Both times Islam won. Now a third time, okay, let's imagine. Topuria moves up and gets a title shot right away. Islam beats him. Then Topuria fights again. He loses again. So basically he was a nobody at 155. Islam beat a guy who was a nobody at 155. Because of that, in terms of legacy for Islam, for his resume, I understand Islam's risks too. That's why Islam says let him fight, become a real contender. Islam will fight anyone. Islam will be 34 soon, so Islam doesn't want to fight Topuria or Volkanovski, or someone stepping in on short notice like Moicano. Islam wants to fight big names who really deserve it, guys who have been in the 155-pound division for a long time. Ilia Topuria responded to Khabib via X. He wrote, "Khabib knows I'm the one to take the belt from Islam. Only reason he doesn't want Islam to fight me." Michael Chandler reflects on his TKO loss to Paddy Pimblett. Chandler posted this to his Instagram. He wrote, "There are really no words to describe the pain and disappointment you feel. You just live in it. Let it take its lot and leave you with what is left. From there you rebuild. The best you can do is move forward with confident expectancy and pride in the attempt. One thing is certain, I can rest knowing that I prepared the best I could, and I alone was responsible for my shortcomings in that octagon. My team prepared me. The UFC gave me the opportunity. I stepped into the ultimate proving grounds ready, bested but never beaten, never out of the fight, still in pursuit. And this picture sums up how I feel and what truly matters. Bruised, bloodied, and heartbroken, yet I still have my soulmate by my side and 3 little hands to hold. Future is still bright. Walk on. See you at the top." Demetrious Johnson responds to Alexander Volkanovski becoming the first fighter over 35 years old to win a UFC world title in the 125 to 155 pound divisions. He points out that he also accomplished this, except in ONE FC. At 36 years old, DJ knocked out Adriano Moraes with a flying knee to reclaim the 1 flyweight title.
Alexander Volkanovski, the first fighter 35 years older to become champion in 128 155 pound division in the UFC. This is so it's not frustrating, but there's been other athletes outside of the UFC who've done it before. Yeah, but that just shows you how big the UFC is. Like, nobody recognizes any other organization, but that is a big feat. Being over 35. I think I'd done it against Adriano when I did the flying knee, was 36 years old, and then I defended it at 37, I think. When did I fight him? 37, but anywho, yeah, absolutely amazing.
So do you guys remember when Tyron Woodley released the song called "I'll Beat Yo Ass"? Woodley recently made an appearance on the Verse Us podcast with Eric Nixick and revealed that song was actually aimed at Dana White. He said he made the song after Dana was extremely critical of his performance over Damian Maia at UFC 314, a fight Tyron won via unanimous decision to defend his welterweight title. However, many found it to be extremely boring. Tyron went on to say, "That's why I made the song I'll Beat Yo Ass. If you listen to the lyrics, it was for Dana White. I couldn't say I wanted to beat Dana White's ass, but I wanted to bad because he made me look stupid. Why are you going to sit here and act like everybody, Michael Bisping and Kenny Florian, were laughing? I'm like, ha ha ha, I'll beat both your asses. Not Florian, that's my dog. But yeah, you made me look stupid. And then when I went on air, I couldn't defend myself. So somebody said they shut my mic off. In my ear, you can't reply. You can't say nothing. You can't speak on this." I feel like they felt like, this motherfucker thinks he's too smart. That's kind of what I always felt. But I'm not going to dumb myself down for nobody. I know everybody's numbers. When you're a fighter and you know everybody's numbers, I go to the negotiation table differently. If I know somebody is negotiating a new deal each fight, no matter if they're on a 10-fight deal or not, if I'm the champion, motherfucker, now it's my time to do that. I was on the same management team with an athlete that was doing that. So when I fought Robbie Lawler, you've got to recognize Robbie was American Top Team. He was managed by Dan Lambert, so a lot of the negotiation to fight me I know about. I know you got an extra $250,000 to fight me. The rift started before then. But the big rift of the power dispute is I know what he was offered. If this is an NCAA tournament and he's the first seed and I beat the first seed, motherfucker, I'm the first seed. So I want everything that he was about to get. I want everything that you talked about. I want every little perk. I want every little extra under the table. And I was relentless on it. Fight announcements. The UFC has announced more fights for UFC 316. To go over the card so far, for the main event, Merab Dvalishvili is set to defend his bantamweight title in a rematch against Sean O'Malley. Kayla Harrison will be fighting Juliana Pena for the women's bantamweight title for the co-main event. Chito Vera versus Mario Bautista has been rebooked for UFC 316. Johnny Walker is set to face Azamad Mirzakhanov. Bruno Silva will take on Joshua Van. And Joe Pyfer versus Kelvin Gastelum has also been rebooked for this card. What do you guys think of UFC 316 so far? Post your opinions in the comments. Islam Makhachev's coach Javier Mendez believes that Paddy Pimblett is deserving of the next title shot. Initially, Mendez was not convinced of Paddy's championship potential, following his controversial victory over Jared Gordon, a fight that many felt Gordon had won. However, after Paddy's dominant TKO win over Michael Chandler, Javier has changed his opinion.
Do you think Paddy deserves a title shot, or he's not ready to face somebody like Islam?
Paddy's ready to face anybody. I mean, what he's done already, his credentials, his winning record in the UFC, and his hype, and what he can do, how he can motivate people. If they give him the next title shot, he deserves it because they gave it to him. So whoever they give it to him, they give, you know, and let's see who they give him to, who gets into the arena with him next. I don't know, but is he worthy? Yes. Yes.
And he's interesting, as you said.
Yes, he's very interesting. Yeah. And he's got a whole England behind him, and a lot of America is going to be behind him. Most of America will be behind.
Yeah.
He has a lot of fans, and I'm a fan. He's, you know, I wasn't a big fan at the beginning. I was not. When he fought Jared Gordon, I was like, you know, but I become a huge fan.
Tom Aspinall recently did a Q&A on his TikTok where he opened up about some of the challenges he's faced as a fighter. One thing he mentioned that he's currently not enjoying is the amount of time off between fights. Tom's last fight was a first-round KO win over Curtis Blades last summer to defend his heavyweight interim title, and since then he's been waiting for the John Jones fight to materialize. He says he'd like to be more active.
What have been your biggest challenge to date as a fighter, as a UFC fighter?
To be honest, there's nothing to really complain about too much apart from the knee injury, but I think that was a blessing in disguise anyway. I feel like I learned so much from that, and I came back way better. Since I came back, I've been gone 3-0 with 3 first-round knockouts, so yeah, I mean, it wasn't good at the time, but I learned a lot from it.
What about securing fights?
That's definitely tough. The time in between fights is not something that I'm too keen on. I'd like to be more active, but I guess that's the way it works at the top. I don't know, I've never been in this spot before, so activity lately has been a bit of a problem, but I feel like it's all going to work out pretty good.
Do you ever get UFC nerves at all?
I'm always nervous to fight somebody. It's not the most natural of things to meet somebody in an octagon. Fly out somewhere, put a pair of gloves on, take your shirt off, have a fight with somebody who you've never met before or don't even know really, in front of millions of people. It's, you know, it's pretty scary stuff. So yeah, I'm nervous every time.
Finally, what motivates you to keep pushing?
I want to be the best. I want to be the best in the world, and I want there to be no debate about it. I want everyone to think about heavyweight MMA and think about me and think that I'm the guy and think that there's no debate that there's anybody else close to me. That's my motivation.
Israel Adesanya is currently training with Sean O'Malley at O'Malley's training compound in Arizona. Here's some footage of the two sparring and Izzy hitting pads with Tim Welch. It looks like Amanda Nunes will be returning to the UFC. Juliana Pena is set to defend her bantamweight title against Kayla Harrison at UFC 316. Nunes says she's willing to fight either of them. However, she would prefer Kayla. She went on to say it's different for me to see things from the outside and see my belt there. It's like that belt was just a fantasy, that the real one is back home with me. Seeing that only motivates me. Let them fight each other and then I'll come back and take my belt and restore the calm. Kayla or Juliana, I want my belt back, and I'll fight for it. I'm driven by challenges. I like to fight for something. Kayla is strong as hell. That's the one I want. It could be Juliana. Cool. I fought her twice. I'll fight her again. Kayla is strong. She's coming now and is on a good level. Has good judo and great grappling. She's evolving on the feet. And that's the one I want. This new thing. Michael Bisping thinks Arman Tsarukyan may be the toughest challenge for Paddy Pimblett in the lightweight division, aside from Islam Makhachev. He is also brutally honest with Michael Chandler and says he looked awful at UFC 314. Bisping doesn't think Chandler will be in any more high-profile fights again.
He's hittable. It would be fun, man.
And I think Arman Tsarukyan, because listen, not that we're trying to tailor a title fight to Paddy Pimblett, but if we are trying to like give him a fun fight, that's a legitimate test, but we want to see him fight for the belt, I don't give him Arman Tsarukyan. I think Arman Tsarukyan might be the most dangerous out of, not most dangerous, but like in terms of losing the fight. I think that might be the most difficult. So a lot of people, I say a lot of people, some people listening to this will say, yeah, but hold on a minute, listen to you all, you know, glazing Paddy and going on like he's great. Chandler was washed. He's lost. Chandler
and we said
lost
they would
five.
say it. We said that they would say that. Yeah.
Well, they are going to say it. And I'll be honest, it does look like that. And I'm not detracting from his win. Right? What Paddy did, the way that he beat him, the way he was so aggressive, hunting him, stalking him, just beating him up in every way. Chandler looked awful though, and he did look like a guy that's almost 40 years old. He did look like a guy that's lost 5 out of his last 7, and he looked like a guy that isn't really going to get these massive opportunities again.
If I was Paddy's manager, I would say, listen, he went out there and beat this dude to a pulp worse than any of these guys that you're saying are above and better than him. So even if he is washed, then why couldn't your guy do that same thing? Yeah. Why didn't your guy get him out of there like that? Charles couldn't do it quite as quickly and as controlled as that, you know? The second time they fought, he went all 5 rounds with him and hurt Charles a couple times in that fight. Almost got him out of there at one point.
Alex Pereira posted some hard sparring footage today. Alex is not currently scheduled for a fight. However, Nurmagomedov Ankalaev has hinted that they will be rematching in August for the light heavyweight title. Dustin Poirier sent a message to Mateusz Gamrot after their sparring session today. They both train at American Top Team. Dustin says Gamrot beat him up, and he plans to get him back.
Mateusz, you dirty dog. You beat me up. You busted my good ear. I can forgive, but I cannot forget. I'm gonna get you back, bro. Count your days, young man.
Garry versus Carlos Prates is set to go down at UFC Kansas City later this month. Yesterday, Ian posted a video to his Instagram watching some of Prates' old fights. He calls Prates a quitter and not a true fighter.
Did you see it? Here, look at this. This is a video of Carlos Prates and his true fighting spirit. It's called being a quitter. He'd just been beaten up all the rounds prior, puts his hand up, shakes his head, says, "I'm done," and then just drops to the ground in absolute despair because he knows that deep down, he's not a fighter.
And that's going to wrap it up for the news. Thanks for watching. For daily MMA news and content, subscribe to Full Mount MMA and click the bell icon to be notified when we post videos. Here are the 3 top comments from last video. These comments are in reference to Marvin Vettori's brother Patrick Vettori, who tragically passed away in a house fire. The first one's from Jacob. It says, "Rest in peace, Patrick Vettori. That's incredibly sad." The second one's from Pedro. It says, "Man, I'm hurting for Marvin." And the final one's from Clues8686. It says, "RIP Vettori. Sorry for your loss." Those were the 3 top comments from last video. If you want to be featured in the next one, all you have to do is comment down below. And if you missed yesterday's news, click the video on screen right now to get caught up.